the roof. Try to imagine this theater had a roof on the top, a concrete roof, which collapsed by weight of the limitation material. Look at how nice is the marble on the floor. And this is nice to see because in Pompeii most of the marble was taken away, like it happened in Rome with the marble from the Colosseum. They recycled in the royal palaces, in the churches, everywhere. So when you see a floor like this, it's quite special because it's just some of the original marble left. Now, 1,000 spectators were sitting all around. The stage was right there, was a real stage. This was like the opera house in the ancient Pompeii. That's the place for music, okay? So here, people were coming to enjoy music. The sound was excellent, and the sound was so good because of the roof on the top, which made the acoustic better. So the stage was behind you and 1,000 spectators sitting around. I know when I say 1,000 seems too many, but they were smaller and shorter than us, so they could fit in here. And look at the lowest seats, they look much larger than the ones at the back. There was like the VIP section, so they had more space, they were closer to the stage, they could enjoy a better view. Did you see the lovely statues on the side and the telemone? You see the man supporting everything on his shoulder, like to say, life is very hard, so seize the day, carpe diem, enjoy the time you stay here in the theater. This theater, by the way, is less old than the other one, because this is a Roman building. So this theater was built by Romans when they conquered Pompeii, 80 before Christ. 80 BC is the official year Pompeii was proclaimed the Roman colony. The other one is pre-Roman. So the other one has been rebuilt, and we'll see in a minute in a better way. But it's older, so not much left because at the time the large theater had marble seats and the marble seats were taken away. They rebuilt, and they rebuilt only 10 years ago because in summertime we do concerts in the large theater. You want to get a request? Want to ask me something? See, you go through the arch left. 50 yards, you find on the left. Okay, let's go this way now.
Đi à, họ chén cái miếng thành đá luôn.
Phải không?
Thiệt.
Bà nói nha.
Chị biết đó không? Anh thấy bà kia ta tới đến giờ. Lại, anh tới đến giờ.
But on the way you will see Pompeii is really huge. That's why at the beginning I told you you could actually spend 2 days in the ruins, even more, because it's so big. Now,
Wow.
and please let's move there. Let's walk on the original road.
City nó bự nữa, không nghe này.
This is almost 3,000 years old street.
What?
Imagine you standing
3,000
now
years.
in such an ancient Rome, not Roman.
3,000 years.
This
Cái đường đó.
built in the 600s BC, made of basalto, which is volcanic stones. And what's quite terrific here, look at the grooves on the street. You see the ruts down here? They were worn by the wheels of the wagons. When I guide the people who've been here long time ago, you know the only memory they have about Pompeii is the rats on the street. Because actually you can almost imagine the wagon with the two wheels driving here. This was a two-way street, so lots of traffic. Pompeii is old, but Pompeii looks very modern. You will see on the way that not so much has changed because people live as we live now 2,000 years later. Down the street you can see big arch. That's one of the gates, one of the 7 gates to the city. Way in or way out. There's a street, and you see there are sidewalks on the two sides. So people at the time, they were not walking on the street. Here just chariots, wagons. They had a sidewalk. And did you see what's in the middle of the street? The big stones. And you see all over. What for? That's the pedestrian crossing. Like the stepping stones. So when people had to cross from a sidewalk to the next, what they did was stepping over those stones. Why? In the pre-Roman time, here they had no sewage system. I know that's not very nice, but they had those chamber pots in the top of the house, And what they did was dumping everything outside. So imagine some waste on the street. Not everywhere. Usually where the street is quite slippery, like in this case. Okay. So imagine the waste here. What's really smart? Not to get dirty, people built big stepping stones, and so what they did was jumping over the stones to cross the street. You see how smart they were. But what's even smarter, when you look at the stepping stones, and when we get closer you see better, between the stones you can see like tracks for the wheels of the chariots. Those deep grooves were still worn by the wagons, by the wheels of the wagons. They could fit, but they could fit because the distance between the two wheels of the wagon had a standard measure. They respected always this standard measure, which was the same measure of the two sides stones. You know, in Europe, we copied the measure for the train tracks. We made the same distance, between the two tracks. Now, what's here? Most of the places on your right are shops and houses. Anytime, let's go to see better what's here. When we see a counter like here, like over here, it's better to sell that. When you see a counter, you always be looking, that's quite funny, at one of the fast food in Pompeii. As I told you, this place was modern.
Yeah.
They had lots of fast food
Yeah.
2,000 years ago. As we do have Burger King, McDonald's, things like that.
Là cái counter hả? Đây counter phải
Look at the fast food houses in this place.
Nó làm cao tơ đẹp.
Can you see what's in there on the side?
không mình đó.
Correct. That's an oven. You're looking at the
Cái
bakery.
oven đó.
This is one of the bakeries in
Oh, yeah.
Pompeii, and they
Yeah.
have counted 35 bakeries in the ancient Pompeii.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they had a wooden fired oven, and that's where they cooked the bread. But I want to show you a space which is nicer and
Oven.
fancy because
Cái oven đó.
here on the side this of the
See cái
campus.
oven.
This is one of the fast food places.
The shops were on the street.
Come a bit closer.
Private homes.
What's that?
That's the fast food. That's
Oh,
McDonald's
fast food
2,000
here.
years
Oh, wow,
ago.
fast food here.
You see the pots?
Wow.
Each hole is a big pot, as deep as the counter, each pot for food or drink. So look at the location, you see, I was pointing a few more. Good location for places for food and drink. We're just outside the theater section. So after the show or before the show, people could stop here to have a glass of wine, to have something to eat. You know, nothing has changed. Location, 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 even 2,000 years ago. So in each pot, food or drink. Food were soups. Fish soup, chicken soup, bean soup, vegetable soup, any kind of soup. Drink was wine. Main drink was wine 2,000 years ago. You know, those people with the wine, they made something else. They made a special drink, which was called the mulsum. Mulsum. Mulsum is something they still make in north of England. The mead, you know the mead? It's a wine with honey. So even those people, they used to put honey in the wine to make it sweeter and lighter. One more thing, they had beer. They had beer at the time. They knew the beer. Beer was imported from Egypt. So a place like this could be for both food and drink or just for wine, like a wine bar. What can I tell you about this place? Look inside, you see there are stairs. So try to imagine the staircase and imagine a second story. In Pompeii, we don't have a second stories left, original ones. Everywhere, when we look around, you need to imagine each building was higher. Everywhere there were at least 2 stories. And most of the times, what was upstairs? Apartment. Pompeii was like New York. Ground floor business, people had apartment on the second story. We know about the second story. Please look on the left. Can you see those little openings in the wall on the left side? The square openings there in the wall. Beams. There were wooden beams supporting the second story. You will see everywhere. And if next time you go to Herculaneum, the other place destroyed by the volcano, over there you can see the carbonized wood was burnt by the lava. And this is still possible to see. Now I want to show you the theater, but from the top. Let's go this way. Did you see the rats between the stones? That's quite horrific, by the way. Because you can almost imagine the wagon driving there and the 2 wheels going between the stones. Horses had a very hard life. because the horse had to step over the middle stone. To be honest, even for people it was not easy because they were shorter than us and they had shorter legs, so they were really jumping over the stones when they had to cross. Now let's go this way. See how thick the plaster was. And look at the color. You can still see the red I told you before. That's the Pompei red. Such popular. Because to make each color, by the way, they always use the pigments of stones or minerals. So the red was made with the cinabro, which was local mineral. But for instance, when you see the yellow was made with the ochre. The nicest and the most expensive color was the blue. When you see blue means lots of money. Because to make the blue they imported, you know, the lapis lazuli, the lapis stones. Now we used to make jewelry. At the time they imported from Egypt, they grained, they made a powder, and this powder was used like a color on the wet plaster. Anytime you see something like this, okay, this is a fresco. Fresco means fresh, because the base for the color was the wet, the fresh plaster. And that's why we call fresco. Fresco means fresh. Much higher with only one peak. So imagine a bigger triangle. Imagine what happened a terrible day. Now we here, and from here you can even see the white building, which looks quite different, right? I'm pointing because the White House was built in the 1700s. Was actually built before they started to make digs here in Pompeii. They didn't know there were ruins beneath. They built on the top. Was built by the king of Naples. Soon after they realized there were ruins, but the place is still there because it's considered like historical. Nothing inside. There are toilets for visitors. Sometimes they have done exhibition. That's it. Whenever in the future they decided to make active digs, first step they need to destroy the white building, because that's what we do have. The last quarter of Pompeii still to be done.
Muốn qua đây chụp cho hai đứa cái chỗ này nè.
Under and behind the white.
Vuoi montare sopra il papo, Lucia? Vieni sopra il papo. 1, 2 e 3.
Allora, if you like, sit down for a minute, okay? Rest
Want to
your
try
feet
taking
for
a
a
picture
while.
of us sitting down backwards like this?
Allora, this is the large theater. This is the one I was pointing when we were down there, you remember? So this is the place where 5,000 spectators were sitting at the time. The stage was down there, where you see the gap. At the time was again a wooden stage. Which is the difference with the other one? Well, you see the size, first of all. This is larger. This is older. I told you before, this is much older. This is the 2nd century before Christ. And this was not for music. They didn't play any music at all, because the sound was not as good as in the smaller theater, because this theater was open, no roof like the other one, okay? What they did, they opened a canvas on the top, like the Colosseum in Rome. And that's why you see there are those sticks by the wall. Imagine the wall all the way around with the same sticks. The sticks were to support the canvas above the theater. So it was just a way to shelter people, actually. On the stage, only actors, so only men, okay, acting. dressing up as women, by the way, and wearing masks on their face. And that's the place where they perform the plays like tragedies, comedies, mimes, pantomimes. You know, was not the gladiator fights. This is not like the Colosseum in Rome. We do have, by the way, an amphitheater as well in Pompeii. It's on the other side of the city. It's not as big as the Colosseum, much smaller. And it's oval, so it's like two of these together. This is a theater, and that's the difference. The theater is a semi-circle. The amphitheater is two theaters together. That's why we call amphitheater. Amphi means double theater. The amphitheater in Pompeii had 20,000 seats, and that's how they estimated the population of Pompeii. It is not as well preserved as the Colosseum you may have seen in Rome, but I have to tell you because it's older than the Colosseum. So the Colosseum in Rome was built after Christ, 72 years after Christ, when Pompeii was a Roman colony. The amphitheater in Pompeii is pre-Christ. It was built by Romans, but in the 80s before Christ. So not as big, not as beautiful as the Colosseum, but older than the one. This is older than both, by the way, because this was built in the pre-Roman time, as the Greeks did, built on the slope of the hill. Now, you see the white down there? That's marble, and that's original. Please try to imagine, the theater had all marble seats. Can you imagine how bright? All Travertino marble. What happened? The marble was found, of course, but was taken away, was stolen in the past, and they reused in the palaces, in the churches, everywhere. And at the time was all marble seats. This theater has been rebuilt 10 years ago, because in summertime here they do concerts. So if you're here in July and August at night, it's possible to enjoy concerts here. The way in is from the foyer over there, and that's why you see there are numbers. You see there are numbers on the seats. You see the lights. It's all modern because in summertime they use and people can come here at night. The back wall of the stage was much higher. To give you an idea, was as high as the wall with the sticks, and the wall was always round. So imagine what collapsed. Was much higher, and a lot collapsed under the weight of the volcanic stuff. Now let's go to see another section of Pompeii. Andiamo.
Nãy đó mình thấy chị
Chưa.
Coming from Rome. The weather has been nice in the last days.
Yeah.
Even March has been nice around here. Why than usual, because sometimes it's very changeable and we have more rain in the month, not this year. That means I don't know how good is for the next months, you know, because usually when March and April they're so sunny, so beautiful, then May and June they're nice, they're bad and rainy too. Yeah, May June are supposed to be the best, but now with weather changes it's not like that all the time. Every year is different. So when you travel from down here, you just need to be very lucky. Here we go.
Look at this. Oh boy.
Allora, this is all the section of Pompeii. If you look on the left, you see there are some stairs. That's the base of a temple. Over there was what we call the Doric temple. Doric because there were pillars with the Doric style capital. The capital is the top of the column, like this, you see? When you find just a square, a square block as the top here, that's the Doric style. When you see different with the 2 vault, you may have seen in Rome with the 2 vault, okay? That's the Ionic. When you see the fancy top of the pillar with the acanthus with the flower sleeves, you know, that's the Corinthian. It's all Greek. Okay, so we do have a Greek influence here, and don't forget Romans fell in love with the Greek culture. So they conquered the Greeks. but they were conquered by the Greek culture. So they copied everything was Greek. Even the gods, they had the same gods. What they did was giving different names. So they even copied the gods, the Greek gods. Zeus was called Jupiter, Aphrodite was called Venus, were just the same divinities, just giving different names. Now the temple over there is important because it's just the base, not much left as you see. But this is supposed to be one of the older temples in Pompeii. So Greek time, I mean that means 500 years before Christ. The pillars here, they're original. Again, they put the blocks back together. The statues, nothing to do with the Pompeii, the modern ones. But we do have two marble pieces. We need to have a look.
Đẹp quá ha.
Now you see lots
Yeah.
of trees here, but 2,000 years ago, not much green in the city. Yeah, you need to imagine marble on the floor, but we don't have marble left. So in Pompeii, in the city of Pompeii, there were no parks, public parks, as we do have now. Okay, they had green, they had a garden, but in the houses. So you never found a public park for everybody. So these trees, they're quite young. Now, can you see there's a marble base here? That's a plinth. On the top there was a statue. We have the statue. The statue is in the Museum of Naples. I didn't tell you yet, but what they consider the best, the most valuable stuff is not in Pompeii anymore, but is in the Archaeological Museum in Napoli. So, I mean, bronze statues, the few marble found, the jewelry, the coins, the best frescoes, that's all in the Archaeological Museum. Which is good because, you know, this place is all open, and that's a big problem. It's all open because, and it's exposed to the elements, so it's better to have stuff preserved in an indoor place. There was a statue of, look at the inscription, which is modern, by the way. Modern people are, we're not very good as the ancient ones. Claudio Marcello, the inscription. And look at the mistake. At the time they could never make something like that. Claudius Marcellus was Caesar Augustus' nephew. Not far from the Colosseum, you may have seen a larger theater in Rome, which is called the Marcellus Theater. Same guy, to give you an idea. Patrono means patron, protector of the town. Nice to see even the marble fountain here, and this is original. They put the fragments of marble together, and there was here lovely decoration. You will see a few more later on. There's a big storage in the forum where we do have pieces like this which were found all over, and all in marble. Now let's go to another station. Now Pompeii has a grid system, so you always see east-west direction roads, and then we do have north-south straight. So if you look at this place from an helicopter from the top, you see the grid system, like many modern cities, like New York, like Toronto, like Naples, you know, we do have a grid system. Now, later on we'll be there, you see where the crowd is, that's the main avenue in the ancient Pompeii. Look at how grand is the entrance to the theater. Very impressive pillars, did you see how huge they are? And we missed a couple, by the way. And look what's even behind you. There's one of the public water fountains in Pompeii. The water fountains, they were built by Romans. Romans were good engineers, you know. And they were the ones who built the aqueduct Pompeii. They were supplied by the water from the mountains around. They built a big aqueduct. In Pompeii, as Pompeii is built on the top of a hill, okay? On the highest point of this hill made by lava, by the way. That's crazy, it's funny. They built above lava. They thought it was a hill, but was lava from previous eruptions of the volcano. They were not able to recognize, you know? They didn't know what a lava was, but that's to say, the eruption in the 79 was the worst, but not the first. So there were previous eruptions. What's bad? For a long time, and that means since the foundation of Pompeii, the volcano was dormant, had been sleeping. That's why people didn't know there was so bad. For them, it was just a mountain, a green mountain. So beautiful. If you go to the museum in Naples, there are pictures, frescoes of the mountain, and you can see the way they painted very green with the grapes. You know, a beautiful mountain. For them, that's what they saw, and that's what they consider a lovely mountain. They couldn't ever imagine how bad, how dangerous it was. So previous eruptions were before Pompeii was founded, and the Pompeii was built on the top of this lava hill. Now, Romans, on the highest point of this hill, they built a watershed. From there, three branches of pipes. Pipes to supply water to the old city, just using the concept of the pressure, the gravity effect. What's not good, Romans made one mistake. The mistake was building lead pipes. Lead. They imported this, correct. They imported the lead from England, from Cornwall. They didn't know the lead was bad. We didn't know 30 years ago. So they were not able to know about the lead. The lead was excellent for them because it's easy to work. So they made those pipes underground and they built the water fountain. In Pompeii, there are 42 public water fountains. I say public because they were working all the time, okay? And any time people could stop there to drink from the fountain, to fill pots and take home. People having apartments on the second story, they don't have any water supply, no running water in their apartment. What they did was coming to the public water fountain with their pots. They used to bring home. Wealthy people, they could pay, you know, and they could have running water in their house, but just wealthy families, not everybody. What's nice, when you look at the water fountain, each one is a different phase. You see there's a decoration on the stone, and on the way you will see a few more. Each fountain similar but different because each one has a different decoration, a face, a symbol, an animal, a god, whatever. What they did was name the fountain, and they did work as meeting places. So see you tonight at the Sun Fountain, see you at the Bulls Fountain. That's really important because 2,000 years ago they had no street names and no numbers, so outside the houses. So anytime you see those marble inscriptions, you see there are numbers outside the buildings, they're modern. Well, modern means 1800 this time, okay? In the 1800s, archaeologists, they divided into regions, the number, then each region was divided into insula. INS means quarter, and they numbered again. So this is a modern division of the city because the place was so big, so massive. And that's why for them, for people working in Pompeii, it was actually the best way to work in this place. But 2,000 years ago, nothing. And that's why that's what people used to meet. Let's go for dinner at the restaurant by the Bulls Fountain. That's the way people work. They always referred to one of the 42 public water fountains. Now, what's here? All shops. How do we know? Let's have a look and I show you in a better way.
There's a shop.
Allora, look at this. This is one of the shops. How do we know? We know because look at the entrance. You see the groove? Anytime you see this groove, you'll be looking at a shop because all the stores in the ancient Pompeii they had a sliding door, a folding door. It was a wooden folding door. The room here, this shop then had two different entrances. But on the way, all the places with the groove at the entrance means business. They have counted, that's crazy. They counted 800 shops in Pompeii. 800. So this was very commercial place. Of course now you may ask me which shop was here. Who knows? I don't know, I don't have any idea. Somewhere could be correct. When you see the counter was always placed for food and drink. So when you see the brick oven, we know it's a bakery. There are some places which were laundries because they found the basin where they used to wash stuff, you know. Somewhere we are able to know, but of course we don't know about all the 800 shops. For sure, when you look around, now I'm not stopping, you know, everywhere, but anytime you see the door, you know what you'll be looking at. One of the stores in Pompeii. Let's walk this way, please. Ma dove Allora, take a look. You see, this is another store. We know because you can see the groove, right? Now, what do we know about this place? This is the shop. There's the back room. And you can see openings in the wall. That's why you need to imagine the beams, the wooden beams, supporting the second store. So, this is a shop, and the owner of the shop or the renter was living upstairs. So on the second story he had a small apartment. I say second, but maybe even 3 stories, and we don't know. Consider in Herculaneum they even found 3 stories building. So maybe even in Pompei some of the places had 3 stories. You see again? And you can see that the roofs, they were not that high, by the way. Yeah, that's to say again, people were small, were shorter. Look at how wide, look at how long it is. This is the main street. And here you need to imagine the best shops, you know. This was like one of the wealthiest sections of Pompeii. So you see big stores, you see again the openings for the beams, so you can imagine each building much higher. You see another water fountain over there. And on the very top, where you see the big stage here, that's where the town center was, the falls. On the opposite side, at the very end of this long avenue, we do have the amphitheater I told you, okay? The Colosseum, the place for the gladiator fights. This street has been called the Via dell'Abbondanza, the abundance way. The abundance way because later on I'll be pointing a lovely water fountain with a nice decoration. The lady holding the cornucopia, you know, the corn with the fruit on the top, symbol of plenty, symbol of abundance, a symbol of fertility. Because of the abundance fountain, which is the first one on the main avenue, that's why this long street has been called Via dell'Abbondanza. Now we walk to the left.
Ở đây hả ba? Xe ngựa hồi đó ta xe ngựa chứ đâu có xe kia.
Anytime you see a place like this, you'll be looking at a house. First of all, house, yes, home. First of all, look at the entrance. You don't see the groove. You remember? I was pointing the groove, telling you when you see the grooves, they're shops. Houses had a huge but regular wooden door, no sliding. That's why you don't see the groove anymore. Then, behind the gate, can you see in the floor there's like a basin, a tub. Anytime you see the same tub in the floor, you'll be looking at the atrium, the courtyard of a house. In the back, big beautiful houses, they had a garden. So anytime you see the garden in the back, that's big house. Beautiful big house. They had the bedrooms on the 2 sides of the atrium of the courtyard, and by the way, bedrooms were always small. You see these rooms on the sides, they were tiny. Why? Because the bedroom was just a place where to go at night and sleep. That's why they didn't need much space, just place for a bed. Now, by the way, why the tub in the floor? You may ask me why they built this cistern in the ground. This is a pre-Roman opening, the big hole in the middle. This opening corresponded to the tub you see there, okay? The opening in the ceiling was like this, to let the rainwater go through. Once the water was catched in there, on the sides there are little holes because underground there's a well. So they built a cistern in the ground under the basin there, and that's where they collected. They saved rainwater, and what they did was actually recycling for the family needs, for washing, for cooking, for drinking, whatever they needed. They had their well with the rainwater in the ground. Romans built the aqueduct. And so Romans, they didn't need, this cistern in the floor. You know what they did? They usually paved the same cistern there with the marble, okay? You don't see the marble because the marble was taken away, but somewhere we can still see the marble tub, and they put a statue in the middle, and imagine how grand, how fancy was the entrance to the house. It was a nice way to show off, because the Roman families, when they were wealthy, they liked to show, their wealth, and there was a symbol of their richness, of their wealth, the garden. The garden in the pre-Roman time was not like that. It was just a garden to grow fruit, vegetables, Romans, you see, they made lovely plants, bushes, pillars. You see the columns. The columnade was like the fashion for Romans. So anytime you see a garden in the house, you will see lovely pillars all around. And not a coincidence, by the garden, they made the dining room. They had a beautiful dining room, which was always open on the garden, to let people enjoy the view on the best spot of their house. But now, this place is big, right? But don't forget the second story. So try to imagine, same size, was above, many more bedrooms, storage rooms. Of course, they may have had the servants, so they had the servants' quarter and the marble on the floor. So anytime you see a place like this, here there was a mosaic. The mosaic is gone, but look, we know because we have little tiles left. I'll be showing you places where you can see the old mosaic, because thanks God in Pompeii we still have lots of mosaics left. The mosaics were not recycled because you see how small the pieces are, and so that's why they left it behind, and we can enjoy. Andiamo, let's go now to see what's coming next.
What? One-way street.
Es que me ha venido así.
La tengo para las 5, pero como me perdí.
This is one-way street.
Bakery, where they made bread. Their bread was flat. They didn't use the yeast.
Bakery here.
In Greece, they make pita bread. They even made pizza 2,000 years ago. No pizza margherita. No pizza margherita because those people, they didn't know tomatoes. We imported tomatoes from Central America. We're not Italian. Everybody thinks that tomatoes are from Italy because now we grow good tomatoes as the weather and the soil is good. But first time we saw tomatoes was with thanks to Columbus, who brought from the New World. Romans had no tomatoes, and that's why no pizza margherita.
Chỗ nó cái lò
What
bánh
they
mì
did
trong
was
kìa.
white pizza. So
Bác,
they made
hả?
this flat bread with the mozzarella, soft gold cheese, olive oil, rosemary, cooked in the brick oven. Was really good white pizza 2,000 years ago. The pizza margherita was made here in Napoli, in this region, by the way. We're very proud of this because that's the only thing invented here, and so we're very proud of this. Margherita pizza because it was made for Queen Margaret
2.000 năm rồi
in
chứ.
1863, and the Neapolitan who made this pizza, he used those ingredients to make the colors of Italian flag. That's why we use the mozzarella. please. But look what's here. You see the symbol? Yes?
Yes.
Is a phallus, penis. What for? That's a sign showing the way to the brothel.
From the
Sex-
brothel.
Yes.
naughty girls
Yes. Because there were a few rooms there working as a brothel. There was, we see more. Now let's continue this way.
What? Yeah.
2000 years ago. The phallic symbol was not bad, was not obscene.
Bom.
Was actually working as a sign to show you the way to the right places. Now we go to visit the largest and the best organized brothel in Pompei. Prostitution was a business here, was actually legal, you know? And they found at least 25 brothels in Pompei. So now we're going to see one which was really very well organized with 2 stories. Of course, the second floor has been rebuilt. We can visit actually the ground floor where you will see 5 bedrooms. How do we know there was a brothel? Because the bedrooms are small. In each bedroom you can see a stone bed with a stone pillow. Only in the brothels they had a stone bed, stone pillow. And outside those bedrooms you will see the menu painted on the wall. The menu, different erotic positions, you know, like a Kama Sutra. Each position had a different price.
Oh yeah.
People going to the brothel, as there were people from all over. Don't forget, Pompei was a seaport, so lots of sailors, lots of outsiders. They were not able to speak Latin. They pointed what to have, you know. So which happy meal to enjoy for the day. Now look at the mask theater, the theater mask fountain, and I wanna point the pipe. You see on the floor? You're looking at more than 2,000 years old pipe. That's one of the lead pipes I told you before. Romans built them. People 2,000 years ago, they got affected by lead poisoning. And we know now because when they made analysis of the bones, they have found traces of lead. Of course, they didn't know, but they got affected by lead poisoning. Now, can you see down the street the building with the second story? The second story, of course, is new, is rebuilt. That's the brothel, that's the place where we're going. In there, please, if you take pictures, no flash. So this time, I will turn flash off. The place is, the pictures are very well preserved because you will see original paintings on the wall.
Is the flash off of this?
But restoration was just cleaning them, and so you'll be looking at the original ones, perfectly preserved. Very clear, so you don't need any explanation because nothing is left to our imagination. And you will see those tiny bedrooms. You see one more pipe? That's still one of the original pipes. And to work in this brothel, by the way, were slaves. Okay, women, but even men. Even men because homosexuality was very normal. Only men used to go to the brothel. They could choose what to have, men or women, up to them. The place was inexpensive. Imagine the minimum fee in the brothel was the same to access, which was like $2. Same price of a cup of wine.
Năm phòng thủ đó.
Let's step
Ôi,
in. This is the way.
nó có advertise, nó có quảng cáo đằng trước cỡ nào, vị trí nào thì trả tiền kiểu nào. Chữ của nó thầu tự đó vậy sure.
The way to the second story, and we do know that on the second floor there were 5 more bedrooms. Of course, what you see here, anytime you see the wood, the beams, that's all new, okay? So they rebuilt. They never let us to get up there, but they rebuilt it just to show us the balcony, you know, the structure of the building.
Đây là mấy phòng ngủ. Đây là động, cái động.
Okay, let's step inside. On the left. Can you see? No flash, please. See here? More over there.
Cái phòng này. Phòng.
Look at the beds, yeah, very uncomfortable. Even the pillow, you see, was made was a stone. What we don't see is the door, but they had the wooden doors for the privacy.
Piani italiani.
So they first appointed which service to have, and then they could walk into the bedroom. But more pictures are over there. You see them? You see them?
Mira las posturas.
Here, you see?
Đây là một cái phòng.
Quite clear.
Phòng này chắc rẻ tiền nhất ạ.
Sao phòng này đẹp mà. Tiền
Đây hả?
phòng này rộng lắm mà.
Chích được kìa. Hả?
Tự nhiên ở tù.
Wow. Ở một cái phòng này khác này. Phòng này đẹp không?
You remember what I told you at the beginning of the
Phòng.
nothing has changed.
Hai phòng thứ hai nè.
Nothing has changed. This was the oldest profession in the world. Pompei was a seaport.
Pero que no dice ninguna.
Why was it here? Now this was the best organized water, but there were many more places.
Phòng này xịn hơn này.
Now what's even quite
Đó, đây là một cái phòng nè. Yeah, một phòng nữa, 4 phòng.
this was not very straight.
Năm phòng. 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 Cái phòng đi vô cái hotel.
Una fotito así en cada uno.
And now we got this okay?
Gì em? Ở đây nó quảng cáo ngoài này hả? Nó quảng cáo chỗ đó. Advertise đâu. Không thấy.
Đó, ở trong nó vẽ mấy cái hình đó.
À,
Hình ở trên tường á.
có vẻ không thấy.
Nó chụp 1-2 cái à. Người ta đông á.
Ha.
Nó vẽ cái hình đó, nằm võng hay là
Vậy à.
thấy cái võng không biết phải không?
À,
Sao mà làm kiểu nào?
có hả? Có luôn trong hình nó vẽ trong đó luôn hả?
À, cái hình đó anh tường á,
À, không thấy.
nó hơi xa thật anh không?
In Pompei, they have countries about 60 past 60. So anytime you see the counter, that's a place for food, for drink, for local people. So that means the local people used to go out for lunch, for dinner, and when they did the big dinners at home, they already had the concept of catering. So they used to bring food in the house. But don't forget, this place was a seaport. So imagine merchants, sailors, they were stopping it here. And of course, they were looking for food and drink. That's why so many of these places. When you see niches like the one in the wall here, but even in the shop, like in the restaurant here, you see there's a little niche down there on the right in the wall. That's called the lararium. In there they had the statues of gods, the lares, the gods of the state, of the house, of the people. So to have the gods' protection on themselves. Welcome to you. You see, the old floor is mosaic. They put it recently this glass and they restored it. This mosaic has just been restored. The old house, because you're looking at another house, you see the tub in the floor again, has a mosaic, and look what's in the back. There's a lovely fountain adorned with mosaic tiles, the picture on the wall. There was the garden in the back of the house. Nice even to see the wall paintings. You see on the right, on the left, the yellow, the red. Gives you an idea about the beautiful frescoes. We know that these people living here, they own a shop. Look at what's next door. And how do we know they were the owners? Because the shop is connected to the house. So anytime you see a shop open in the back, connected to the house, means same family, same owners. They own the business, they live the next door. Of course, you can even see again the open teams. So even this place was much larger, much bigger and higher than what we can see. Now on the way, lots of shops. Back streets was all shops. As I told you, they found hundreds of them, hundreds of these stores everywhere. And this is one way street. Now better preserve the fast food with a beautiful marble fountain. Here, can you see the steps? So it gives you an idea about the staircase in the second story. Shop, of course.
I mean, I have no idea.
See, that's the only thing which happens so far.
Đây là shopping không bự, nhà bự không. Cái này là cái cửa kéo, cửa kéo.
Bán còn mắc tiền.
Ồ, chỗ này thành phố bự quá ha.
Đâu, basement.
Ờ. Wow, cái này shopping bự, bự.
Tới cao ai bước lên được.
So now it's well, we work
Shopping không?
sometimes it's 1, 2, sometimes it's more than 1.
Đường
Sao bước qua
How
được.
busy it is, you know. Sometimes like cruise ships
Cái ngựa nó đi mà nó cày nó thấy luôn.
gets busier. We do have cruise ships docking in the port.
Cái sâu như vậy
But
á.
in the winter, you know, we have lots of time to rest. You see,
Trick for the horse.
that's quite
Uh-huh.
amazing, yeah.
Wow, it's better.
Of course, when you're looking at the one-way street, you need to imagine that's the measure of the, you know, the cherry. So they had to do the same. So they started to warm these rats up, but they may have, yes, done like tracks to make even easier for the cherries.
Nó kéo à. Cái đường nó kéo, ngựa nó kéo đi giữa, còn hai bên kia là cái đường đi á. Nó mòn luôn gì à.
Kéo mà cái đó nặng lắm đó.
Hả?
Tại vì cái này nó cày.
Ngày nào ngày đó đi cứ làm hoài, nước chảy đá mòn.
See, it's all marble on the top, on the side. Look at how fancy it is. Can you see there are 2, 4, 6, 7 pots? So each pot, to give you an idea, was built in the counter. And the pots you see in the counter, they were not for cooking, okay? Just for serving. So underneath there was no fire. They're just as deep as the counter is. Where the food was cooked. Usually they had a back room, a side room, which was a kitchen. What's quite interesting, when you see the pots, you can see the terracotta. So they were always made of terracotta. And there's a reason, you know, those people knew that terracotta keeps the right temperature. So when you put something cold, it stays cool. If you put hot, it stays warm. And that's why they made the containers in terracotta, to keep the right temperature of food and drink.
Veniva il medico a casa oppure andavi tu in un posto dove sapevi che c'era il medico. Immagina la medicina che tu venivi a
Maybe it's closed, we can call, I'm not sure. But also if it's not closed than Michele, usually there is a 2-hour line. Because it's really, really, really smooth. It's the real pizza of Naples.
Ai piani superiori o retrobutti.
Now on the way, it's all the shops in this back street, sometimes with the counter,
Ăn cắp cục đá rồi.
sometimes just other business.
Thằng nào
On
khiêng
the
về
way,
được
we'll
giỏi.
be stopping again because we have the best preserved bakery.
Đi bên này về là khỏe lắm, đi giống như ngựa vậy nè.
Kè này bà nói 1 tháng khỏi cần thấy dọn.
Hay ha.
It's original, perfectly.
Oh wow.
You see the brick oven, and you can even see the mills, 5 mills, you see? Allora, on the side, you see, in the side of the mill, you see the holes. There were sticks inside, and they had, usually they had slaves, sometimes even mules, you know, donkeys, to push the sticks to make the rotation of the upper stone. There was the mill. They made
Wow.
the flour there. So in the back they used to mix the flour with
Bên này đây.
so there was the dough for the bread, no yeast,
À.
and that's where they cook it in the brick oven.
Ở đây
This
chụp cái
one
này
is
nè.
great because it looks like,
Chụp
you
đằng
know,
này
the
chụp
brick
ra
oven
nè.
we
Trong kia
find
chụp ra đẹp.
in the pizza places in these
Đây
days.
nè.
So, but this is more than 2,000 years old. We even know the
Muốn
name
chụp
of the baker.
quay cũng
Panificio means the baking. What's the name?
cô cha xanh nhiều như vậy.
We know because in here they found inscription.
Bên chỗ này chụp hết.
Chụp hết luôn một bài.
They was the one.
Bị kia. Bị con sao lấy á. Đến bên kia chụp. Chỗ bên kia chụp hết được. Bên kia chụp trên chỗ thằng đó đó. Chụp ngược lại mới được. Đó. Đây, đến chỗ thằng này
Okay,
chụp
now
hết nè.
let's go this way because I want to take you to visit the largest house.
Em. Right here. Đó, đứng đó. Chú xích vô chút xíu. Sát phía bên này.